Wellness Week Live. What's up, everybody? It's Wellness Saturday. Special guest, a friend of mine, and someone that I have come to admire because of, you're going to find out why. Big journey she made, not only literally, but figuratively and mentally. So my guest today is my friend Narek. Narek, how are you?
Hi.
Now, the cool thing about Narek, to everyone watching, is that she lives in Dubai. Now, that might not seem like anything to you if you're watching, yeah, Dubai, whatever, Europe, Asia. However, her journey to Dubai I thought very inspirational, and I wanted to have you on because of that primarily, but other things we'll get into. So Narek, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on to Wellness Week Live.
Thanks. I'm doing well. It's late night on a Saturday. We're about 8 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time, so it's the weekend. I'm doing good.
So let me ask you. This is just kind of a side thing here. So everyone complains. Now I'm in New Jersey. You're in Dubai. Okay. Now you are New Jersey no matter what. No, forever and ever. Jersey girl. You never get rid of it. You can't wash it off. You can't wash it off. So just out of curiosity, so it's like 85 degrees here in Jersey. Humor me. That would be winter in Dubai. How hot is it in Dubai right now?
That is actually winter in Dubai. So right now it's about 8 p.m. in Dubai, and it's about like 100, 102 degrees.
Woo!
So during the day, it could get up to like 110, 115. It's really hot, brutally hot.
Yeah.
And humidity is just like off the charts. It's about like 80% humidity, 70% humidity sometimes. So it can get like really hot and sticky.
We had that last week. Yeah, last week all here in Jersey, it was about 100 and change. So, right. You guys sustain that day after day, week after week. So, okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into this. So many years ago, I remember, and you and I are friends, and you were like, oh, hey, I'm moving to Dubai. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, you're from Jersey. What are you talking? Like, you're born, raised here, America, New Jersey. And, you hear people say, oh, I'm going to move. And they move like to the next town. Okay. Oh, I'm going to move. And they move to Florida. And, oh, wow. Florida. I mean, you went across the globe. Now, and I said this off camera, it's one thing to move to Florida or California or Pennsylvania, but it's another thing not only to move across the globe, but let's call it like it is, to move also as a single woman. I mean, it's not like you're moving with your family. You're moving by yourself. So after being a little concerned for you, like, oh, she's my little sister, I was like, wow, that takes some brass. And it's very, again, not to blow smoke, but it's motivational. And I think your journey was not only physical, you probably would agree with this and concur, but it's a journey that is mental, spiritual, if anything, really. The physical is always, they say, the easiest part, but, leaving everything behind. Now, I get it. You come back, you visit, but you live in Dubai. This is not a vacation. You're living there. So, big shout out to you or anyone who makes such a, I mean, the only people I know have done that, it was like my mother moving from Italy to America. But again, that was forced on her. She was a baby, like you did this free will. So like, okay, so let's talk about that. So how did what was the impetus to want to move just across the world? Dubai, never mentioning Dubai, but just to move so far. What was the impetus, particularly Dubai? What happened?
Yeah, so this was back in 2017. And I always knew as a kid growing up that I wanted to travel outside of New Jersey.
It's different than moving, though. I mean, it's one thing to vacation.
Right, for sure. Like, I just didn't feel like I was going to end up in New Jersey for the rest of my life, So, like, in 2017, I was talking to my old boss from my previous company, and she was like, she had moved to Dubai, and we were just catching up, and I was telling her on how I wanted to move to LA. I was interviewing for jobs in LA and everything, and things were just not panning out. And she was like, hey, well, do you want to come over to Dubai? I work in e-commerce. So at that time, e-commerce was booming. A whole bunch of websites were coming up and everything. So she's like, do you want to come over? And at first I was like, Dubai, like where is Dubai?
Yeah. Where is that?
I really didn't know. Like, I knew it was in the Middle East somewhere, but I didn't even know that it belonged to the United Arab Emirates, So, I interviewed for this role, got the job. And I remember the day that I got it, it was like the day that I got the email saying like, congratulations. It was the day after my friend's wedding. And I remember I got the email and I just started like crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, guys. Like, it's
life,
like somebody going off to like the military, you know?
It's life changing.
I was like, oh my God, like I just
Yeah.
got this job. And I started
Right.
crying.
Yeah.
Not
It's not you're not going to Florida. You're not going you're going
exactly.
to the other end of the earth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just started crying and everything. And then my friends were like, are you really gonna go? And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I didn't think you were gonna go either. I was like, yo, it's one thing to do this, it's another thing to, and that's why I also want to touch on,
Yeah.
you know, you had tenacity, you have follow through. A lot of people talk. Oh, I want to get in shape, or I want to make good money, or I want to find love. Everyone talk, so many people talk, but to execute on that, and you did that in a very big way. And again, it is what it is. I'm not trying to blow smoke, but I don't know that I could have done that. But anyway, so go ahead. So you get the
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, was there like a lot of doubt? Yes.
Of course.
Was there a lot of people who were doubting me? Of course. Like I had friends tell me like, Narek, they're like, we know your personality. Like, because I was going from New Jersey to the Middle East.
Of course.
Where, you know, obviously like where we're from and everything, the Middle East has a different outlook. And yeah, even my friends were like, you'll be there for a year and a half and you'll come back. And now it's been about 4.5 years. Wow. And I'm still here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely, the journey was definitely scary. I think even the pre-journey, it took me like months. I had to do a lot of paperwork. I had to go to embassies. I had to go to Washington, D.C. There was just so much stuff I had to do in order to then become a resident of the United Arab Emirates.
Right.
So yeah, it was definitely really, really scary. Right. And then I actually ended up, the day that I flew out was New Year's Eve.
Oh, damn. More tears. Wow. That's really
like
tough.
The day before New Year's Eve, me and my friends went out to Hoboken, and it was probably about like 15 or 20 of us. And we just got all like wasted and happy tears. And like, you know, it was really, because I'm the type of person, I'm very, very, very close with my friends and my family.
Of course.
Like super. Yeah. I mean, you obviously know.
Yeah. So, your father must have been like, you're the only daughter. It's not like they got 10 daughters.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have lost his marbles. Your mom too, and your family too, you know, whatever. But
yeah, for sure. And, you know, my parents are getting older, so I was also worried about leaving them behind. And I remember Thanksgiving dinner, and I was having dinner with my family and stuff. And I started crying because I'm a crier. I'm a very emotional person. I'm just like, I feel all sorts of emotions. So I remember a Thanksgiving dinner, was sitting there, and I was contemplating on whether to leave or not. And my dad was like, well, why? And I'm like, well, because I don't want to leave you guys. Like I'm the eldest in my family, and my parents are immigrants. So of course, like growing up, I always did everything for them. And growing up, and I grew up at a very young age just because I had to learn things of life to help my parents out. So it was kind of like leaving them behind. And I'll never.
So your father was okay with you leaving, or?
So I mean, that day when I was crying at the dinner table, my dad is like, listen, he's like, I believe in you. He's like, if I didn't believe in you, he's like, I would tell you not to go. But he's like, he's like, you're strong, and he's like, you're independent, and he's like, I trust you. And he's like, and I know you, he's like, I think you should go. Cause he's like, if you don't go, he's like, you will regret it. Yeah, he's like, you'll always sit there and wonder what if. And I'm the type of person, I don't like to live in the what if. I like to know that, hey, you know what? At least I tried, I did it. And if I failed, and I move on and on to the next one.
Right.
So I think I got my dad, I got my dad's blessing at that time. My mom was obviously like a wreck.
Yeah.
She's like, no, don't go.
Well, I mean, not for nothing, but if your father had a different mindset about it, maybe you wouldn't have went. I mean, let's be honest. I always say success is not a, no man, no woman is a success on their own. You need the support of friends and family. So maybe if your dad was adamant about you staying, who knows, maybe you would have made a different decision. So it really is helpful when you have at least someone in your corner or people in your corner to catapult you, because it is a team effort. So that's cool. And I obviously your mother, all mothers are going to be like, stay home and I love you. I get, so, but still, right. You had to break away from that gravitational pull of not only mom and dad, right? Your brother, your friends, your community, everything is gone. Like, and obviously not forever, but it feels like that because this is not Pennsylvania. You're not next state over. You know,
No, for sure.
yeah.
And honestly, Anthony, I at that time I was 30 years old. I never left home. I never went away to college. I always stayed at home with my family. And at that time, I was 30 years old. My friends were, getting married, having kids, and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, I need to start doing something for myself. Like, I need to grow up in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what ended up happening.
Right.
I grew up. I left.
Right.
Left.
And you hit on something. I know so many people, and I'm sure you do too. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. Well, we all have people we know that they're adults, but their mom and dad are the puppet masters pulling those strings.
Yeah.
And whatever mommy and daddy say or imply, that's what they're going to do, or whatever, right? Their community. So I can fully appreciate because although I haven't moved across the world, I have done things in my life and become successful in certain ways, bucking the trend or breaking away from that gravitational, you should just get a job, or you should just, stay here and do this. And anyways, so you breaking away from that gravitational pull is it takes a lot, again, not just mentally, but also monetarily, physically. So now, okay, so let's talk about this. So my point is, you moved to Dubai or wherever you would have moved. You own your life now. This is Narek's life.
Yeah.
Your success is your success. Your failure is your failure. And that's a lot different than many adults who, again, mommy and daddy are always there to wipe their hiney. It's just, and it is what it is. That's life. But kudos to you. You're owning your success and you're owning your failure. This is Narek's life. This is where you're going. And I don't think you can have what you have if you would have moved to the next town over,
For sure.
Yeah, you kind of really, it's hard. So let's talk about, okay, so what has this journey now, 4 or 5 years later, what has it taught you about you? You have 10 hours. Okay.
It's taught me a lot, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I think, to be perfectly honest, I think my journey started in 2016. And I think it just made me become stronger and led me to actually being able to get up and go. So in 2016, it was the first time I ever solo traveled by myself. I remember I went to California and stayed in Santa Monica for a week, rented a car, and it was like the dream that I had. And it was the first solo trip I ever took. And after that, I went to Arizona, I went to Chicago, I went to so many different places by myself. And I would have people tell me how inspiring I was to them, on how I just would step out of my comfort zone. And I think this is like what really helped me. So like the whole transition to Dubai made me feel more comfortable in myself and know that I can actually do it.
Right. So you had a practice run. You had a practice run in Cali and in
exactly.
Arizona.
And I totally believe that everything in life happens for a reason, right? So like there's certain things in life that are put in your kind of your way to help you grow and to finally then be able to take the next step in your growth. So I think, so the journey started in 2016, came to Dubai I landed January 1st, 2018. And it's, there were times where I slept on a blow up mattress in like my
questioning
room.
Your life decisions. Like,
I'm crying. There was times I was, and it's just a lot of physical changes started happening. I started getting sores around my mouth.
Stress, right.
My hair started like falling out and thinning. And it was just a lot of, my mom came to visit me like 3 months after I got to Dubai. And she was like, oh my God, like, what is wrong with you? Like my face was breaking out, like weird things were happening. And I was emotional, was crying. I hated it here. I come from like New York City work life where everything is go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And I came here and people are doing things very differently because you're working with multi like cultural people, like people from Europe, Asia, Middle East, everywhere. And you start doubting yourself. There's a lot of self-doubt that also happens along the way. You're like, well, what I knew is that, is that wrong? Like, because everybody else is doing it a different way here. Well, it's a lot of mental health, like things that I had to go through, a lot of physical, a lot of mental. And it's definitely I think I think where I am today, I think I'm in a much better place of my life where I am today. And yeah, totally. And I feel like I think, I mean, I have to owe it to Dubai, because if it wasn't for me to move here, I don't think I would have been in the best mental state of my life.
Right. You became a better person because of the hurdles.
Yeah, for sure.
And you needed her. I always say, you know, a diamond cannot be made without high pressure. A bird cannot fly without resistance. You need pressure, you need resistance. And you showed, there you go, when you talked about the stress and, feeling lonely and that, a lot of people might have tapped out and been like, I'm just gonna go home. But I think those are the moments, if you can bury through those and focus through those, you will become stronger. And I think what you're saying is you learn that you're brave, you're strong, you're tenacious, and you wouldn't have known that if you didn't move.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Anthony, it's all about positive mindset. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't let the hard stuff and the hardships of life sometimes like break you down. Like, I'm not saying I'm happy-go-lucky all the time. Of course. Like, I go through a lot of stuff where I just, especially during COVID, I sat down in the middle of my living room, like hysterically crying one day. Like, things do happen, but at the end of the day, you have to keep a positive mindset. It's like, you just got to fight through it. And then things just happen to like make sense.
There's an old saying they say in the military. It says, embrace the suck. Like, don't also maybe try to pretend it's not happening, but this sucks. It hurts right now.
Sure.
And like you said, you had your stress, you had your strain, but you didn't tap out. You almost let it engulf you and you went through it, and I think that's a lot of times why people give up in whatever it may be in their lives for their own successes. They stick with the devil they know, or, they tap out. And I would say, even if you tap out, dust yourself off, try again, try another country, try another state, try another diet, or whatever it is. But so let me ask you this. So with the following statement, you tell me if you agree with this or you modify it. Would you agree, like, okay, so there's a difference, I always say, between vacationing and travel. Vacationing, oh yeah, dude, we went drinking in this country and that country, and I, I travel everywhere, and I tell these certain friends of mine, but that's all you do, you drink around the world. Versus traveling, where you get to meet local people. You exchange ideas, you break bread. It's one thing to be, we're going on a cruise, or, I drank in 19 different countries. Yeah, but did you get out and actually meet people, stay with people, trade, exchange thoughts and ideas? And I think that's what you have done. Traveling is different than vacationing. Traveling, my point is, I think when you travel, you become a better human. You become empathetic, sympathetic to others, where it's not, oh, those people over there, they're just stupid. Those people, whoever, you know what I mean? It's like, well, hold on. Those are not bad people, or those are not whatever crazy people, or those are not those people. When I think when you travel, you could disagree with people, but you can understand where they're coming from better than if you just stay in your home, wherever that may be, and not get out. So, and I'm not necessarily talking about Americans per se, although yes, I am. But if you're someone that lives in Italy and you never leave Italy, and again, to travel and exchange ideas and talk to people and see how others live. Would you agree that it makes you a better empathetic person traveling?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And like, to your point, I know you said, the US, but I think in the US, we, yes, there are people from all different parts of the world that come to the US and migrate there. But at the end of the day, we're Americans, right? And it wasn't until I left America that I got to meet like new people, new cultures, new religions. I got to like understand, like, I went to India and went to an Indian wedding, like, so there are these different things and these different traditions that you engulf yourself in.
Right.
And, 100% is totally different. Like, I have friends come and visit me in Dubai, and like, I go out and do things with them in Dubai, but I don't do that on the regular,
Right,
I don't go out to like all these like fancy schmancy places.
Yeah.
And yeah, you learn so much about people's like religions, action. Yeah, like just the way that they think. You learn about what people think about us as Americans.
Right.
I tell people I'm American, and like, oh my God, some of the things that I've heard.
Yeah.
Like, but you're not. They're like, you don't look American. You don't have.
Or, well, you don't talk like this. You don't act like that. You don't. Right. But I mean, right. And it's not just Americans, right? Any human that stays in their town their whole life, But it's funny. depending where you live in America or where you live on Earth, you do have an advantage in the sense of where we live. Okay, the northern New Jersey area, New York City area. I always say, we're lucky because, as you know, like my neighbor's Indian. My other neighbor is from Ireland. My other neighbor is from Spain. Like you know what I mean? Like we're so lucky to be living in, well, I say me, like in the New York City area. And it's a shame when I talk to people who like, they've never eaten Indian food or they don't have they don't have any Spanish friends. I'm like, how do you not? I mean, like, and I can see if you live in rural Montana, got it, but if you're in like LA, Chicago, New York City area, Miami area, like, Boston area, I mean, it's right in front of us. Why not try something new or make a friend who, again, this is where ideas get exchanged and we can disagree, but say, okay, I never thought about that, good. So I think that's one of the great things about travel or living in an area that is very diverse. If you open your mind and are brave enough to make a friend who's different than you or whatever. So I'm glad we agree on that travel can, again, it's different than vacationing. So let's talk about this. So you mentioned that, being on the mental kick and how important mental health is. And I've done countless shows on this. I don't even like to say mental health because it's a non-starter. Once someone hears the word mental, they're like, oh my God, you're crazy. So I always say, mind health, because if you have a brain, you have a mind. And I always say every human on earth should see a therapist or a life coach, whatever you want to call it.
For sure.
Because it's okay to get a sore throat, but you can't have a sore mind for a week or a month or a couple months. So let's talk about that. So, you're talking about mental kick, and I guess a lot of it started when you moved, right? You really got a chance, and through COVID, as many of us, you're in lockdown, and now your mind is,
Yeah.
So how did you get through that? Like, what did you? So you mentioned that you're into yoga, which I am too. Sound healing, the sound bowls, I think you said.
Yeah.
So how does that play into your life, daily or weekly? Like, how has that helped you out?
Yeah, so I think it all started. So I arrived here in 2018. All this stuff went on. It was not until I started this like journey that I'm on right now until September 21. So COVID happened. I actually lost my job in Dubai in February of 2020.
Another hurdle.
The tricky part about Dubai is if you lose your job, you have 30 days to exit the country, because after that you have to like pay all these fines and penalties and everything. Yeah.
Oh.
So I lost my job February 2020, and I was like, you know what? I'm done with Dubai. I'm going home. And then March of 2020 is when COVID hit and everything went into total lockdown. And the worst part is that here in Dubai, we were in complete lockdown for like, I think it was about 7 or 8 weeks, where you had to apply for licenses and permits if you wanted to leave your house. And it was really tough and really bad. And I live by myself in a 1-bedroom apartment with no balcony or anything. So and Anthony, as you know, and anybody else who's watching this who knows me, I'm a huge extrovert. I like to.
We get the idea.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I also like to do is, and I like to learn and conversate with people and just everything. I'm not a type of homebody. I don't like.
You're an introvert. Yeah.
Yeah. So COVID really, really broke me down. Yeah. Like it was bad. Yeah, it just it made me like really sad. I would sit in my living room and cry because I was like, oh, what's happening? Couldn't see my friends or my family.
So how did you get into yoga though? Was that when you got into yoga?
Well, I started actually at that point. I was into fitness, and I was going to UFC gym here in Dubai, and we had this like insanity instructor, and I was literally doing insanity videos. I don't know if you guys are.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah.
These insanity videos like in my living room. It was like I recorded some stuff too. I posted it on Facebook, on Instagram, and so yeah, I got into that. And then it wasn't until about last year, I started getting into yoga as soon as we got out of COVID and everything. Meditation, not so much. It was more like yoga that I was into and kind of dabbing into that world. And then last year, I just had like, I went through something in my personal life, and I met with a spiritual guide, and she helped me with meditations. She helped me with learning that, to let go of things.
Right.
And
Which is hard.
we used to, I'm not sure if you know Dr. Joe Dispenza, but a lot of her like teachings and stuff come from Dr. Joe Dispenza. So he's like a neurologist. And some of the things that he would talk about would be like the brain and heart alignment. So it's this meditation where you basically learn to love yourself again.
Right.
And I think, I was always this person that was, like single and just living my life and loved myself and everything. But I think with COVID and not really taking care of my mind and my mindset, I think it just built up over time.
Oh yeah.
To the point where I just lost the sense of like love for myself.
Right.
Right. I lost the sense of like independence of myself. And it's been a journey over. I started in September 21. It's now August 22.
Doing yoga for that long.
Yeah, and it's not only yoga. It's like the sound healing. Like sound healing helps me because it takes me to I vibrate with it, my energy. I'm all into like, the energies that we give off. Like what we give out into the world is what we get back. If you're a very negative person, you're having all these like negative thoughts and energies, that's what you're going to get back.
Right.
Is like with all these like sound bowls, and obviously I'm not the person who does it, but there's like an instructor.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah, but it's important.
And it's like a form of meditation,
Right. And what you're touching on, I think, a lot of critics would say, and I was one of these people, oh, whatever, that new age stuff, get out of here. I'll just take some pills. And my thing is, of course, follow your doctor and always check with your healthcare professional. But this can be a nice added attachment, a nice added bonus to your life to, again, obviously eat right, meditate, yoga, sound bowls. These are things that add to your life. They're not going to hurt you at the minimum. So why not try it? And like I said, I started yoga about 8 months ago too. And it's funny. I don't know if you had this problem, but I'm like you, very, as you know, gregarious, outgoing. I don't wake up. I pop up out of the bed. Like there's no, I'm just boom, full throttle right away. Yeah. But initially it was hard for me to do yoga because I'm like,
sure,
I can't sit still. I can't do it. No. Yeah, so, right. But, so my thing with my yoga is, and I would tell anybody watching this, and you probably would agree, look, no one's saying out of the gate, you got to do 10 hours of yoga in one sitting. Yeah. You do start off with 5 minutes, start off with 3 minutes, whatever. You take your time. There's no set length. It's not, you just, so I'm sure you had that right initially, like where it was probably hard for you because you are outgoing and you're a mile a minute. I mean, so was that difficult for you initially?
100%. And even meditation is even harder.
Oh yeah.
Like I would meditate and I'd be there like 2 minutes, like closing my eyes, and I'm like,
like I got to do this, I got to do that.
But you just learn to block out the noise, and I think the thing with COVID, I think what what COVID helped with some people is it blocked out the noise.
Correct.
In our daily lives, we're always like, everyone's on the go.
Yes.
There's always so much background noise.
Right.
And I think one of the things about meditation is that brings you to a place where you're just in total silence, and you try not to let your thoughts kind of interrupt you.
Right. But
it's
scary, right? A lot of people don't want to go into the inner self because we don't want to hear that or visualize that. And that's where the growth comes in again. So, okay, now we're running down on time, but I wanted to ask you this. So what bit of advice would you tell a young woman or a young man or a family that has a trial in their life or a tribulation in their life or a journey, either physically or figuratively, a change in their life? Maybe they're going to get married, or maybe they're going to get divorced, or maybe they're going to start college, or maybe they're going to move or get a new job, or maybe they have to, whatever, these big things. So what advice would you give someone that is going to be taking a journey soon? What would you tell them? What bit of advice, one bit of advice that you would say?
I would just say, don't be scared. Like, just do it. I think a lot of times we self-sabotage ourselves because, and I mean, we all do it. I do it. You do it. Everybody does it. We are the biggest critics of ourselves, and we self-sabotage a lot. And sometimes it's like you just don't know unless you just take the plunge and you do it.
And that you're 100% right. I agree with you. There's an old saying: the first stride is the longest. It's hard to make that call, to pull that trigger, to pull that lever, and say. And to your point, you almost have to just do it. You can't think about it because overthinking or analysis over what do they call it? It's paralysis from over analysis. Sometimes you got to take the risk and you might fail, but no one's saying be reckless, but to your point, just do it. Don't be scared. I always say it's okay to have butterflies, but have the butterflies fly in formation, so we're human. We're all scared, like you said, so that's a great bit of advice for sure. People, you heard it from Narek. She did it. I mean, just do it.
You guys can do it.
You're right. And I always say that, right? None of us are Superman. So no human on earth. I don't care who you are. I don't care what level, how much money you make or don't make, or how. Nobody is God. Nobody is. We're all human. We all have hopes and fears, and so you have to, like Narek said, just do it. Just do it. I mean, I'd rather say I did it and failed versus I didn't try and I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I wonder what. Like back to your dad, right? Like you don't want to wonder what could have been. I think it's better to fail to say at least I tried it versus I wish I don't know. I coulda, shoulda, woulda. But
and to be honest, like. Like I said before, I know it sounds cliche, everybody always says this, but I truly believe that things happen in life for a reason. You're put on this path and you're put on this journey, and it's up to you to whether to go right or left.
Yeah.
And I think when I look back at where I am in my life, I think if I look where I am in my life today, if I look back to a couple of years ago, it's like, if this didn't happen, then this would have not happened, then this would have not happened, and I would have not been here or met this person or done this.
Right.
And it's just a journey. And
it really is.
We're all on this journey, like on our own journey. So
100%.
And also another thing too is I would suggest, not suggest, but I guess don't look at what other people are doing.
Right. Don't compare.
Feel some sort of way, because I know that's another thing that people do as well too,
compare.
Oh, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't have the job, I don't have the car, I don't have this, everybody is on their own journey,
right.
So
100%.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I also tell myself too, I'm 35, I'm not married, I don't have any kids,
so
it's okay.
It's your life. And I always say you define what is successful, nobody else, so if I feel like I'm successful, then I'm the most successful person on earth. Says who? Says me. Don't let, to your point, you define what success is for you. And if somebody did want to be married or whatever, go to the Ivy League college or climb Kilimanjaro and you didn't, again, certain things, you try your best, and you don't want to put yourself in a bad situation either. So anyways, but okay. So Narek, I thank you so much for joining me on Wellness Week Live. you're the best. Who's better than you? Hey, who's better than you? Who's better than you? Okay. And people, don't forget, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification, share with your mom, your dad. This is you're gonna be able to share it. And again, Narek, thank you so much for making time in Dubai, and enjoy the rest of your summer. I'm gonna be signing us off in 3, 2.